in this week's Torah portion, the book of Leviticus, Parshat Shemini. Just at the beginning of chapter 10 in the book of Leviticus, we are studying about the beautiful dedication ceremony of the tabernacle. And finally, as the offerings that are done in the beginning of the month of Nisan are concluded, the tabernacle is dedicated, the fire comes down from heaven, and everyone witnesses the indwelling of the presence of God. And two of the children of Aaron, the high priest, Nadav and Avihu, they make what's called a strange offering, a strange fire, an unauthorized offering to God. And as everybody knows, we read there one of the most perplexing and difficult passages in the book of Leviticus. We read about how these two fine young men, the children of Aaron, were struck down for bringing this strange fire. And there is a wealth of commentary in the tradition of our holy sages about how to understand what does it mean exactly that they brought this strange fire, this sacrifice that had not been required, that had not been instructed, that had not been commanded by God. And while there are many commentators who view this in a negative way, there is also a tradition that these two men, Nadav and Avihu, were actually acting out of a very noble, a very positive place. They really wanted to come closer to God. They really were very inspired, and they wanted to do something. And the whole thing really was very positive, and it was coming from a very high spiritual motivation, but it was wrong. And the problem is that it was not keeping in line with the proper progression from level to level that a person has to do and has to have in order to make our acquisition of spirituality, and in order to make our path in serving God real and lasting. It has to make sense. It has to be according to who we are, and it has to be following God's word. So if we hear from God, and I really hope that each and every one of us knows that we do hear from God, that word from God has to be something that follows His word, that is a reflection of a life dedicated to the sanctification of His name, to doing the right thing at all times. We have to be very careful, if we hear that voice, that it isn't self-aggrandizing, that it isn't self-serving, that it isn't selfish, and that it makes sense, that it follows the progression of what it really means to have our feet on the ground and our head in heaven, to really be able to serve God, but to stay in this world, and to really know that everything that we are doing is truly for His sake.